The Louisiana night carried its own kind of magic. The air was thick with cypress mist and the scent of bayou water. Crickets sang a low song under the hum of the moon, and deep in the woods, a pack of wolves stirred. Naomi Brooks walked the edge of the clearing, her boots sinking slightly in the mud. Every rustle made her flinch, not out of fear, but out of habit. The Crescent Fang pack had never truly seen her as one of them. Her parents had been kind, loyal, but powerless. The weakest of wolves, the kind whose names were forgotten before the next moon cycle. And now, everyone looked at her the same way. "The runt," they whispered. "Barely a wolf." Naomi sighed, brushing a strand of coiled hair from her face. She was supposed to be at the choosing ceremony tonight, where Eli Warren, the soon-to-be alpha, would name his mate. But she couldn't bear to stand among the others and watch as he chose someone else. Someone strong, someone like Layla Carter. Her chest tightened at the thought of him. Eli, her childhood friend, her protector, the boy who once swore he'd never let the pack treat her like she didn't belong. But time had a way of changing things, and people. He was alpha now. Duty came before friendship, before love, before everything. She glanced up at the moon. "Guess it's just you and me tonight," she whispered. The wind shifted. Leaves rustled behind her. Footsteps, steady, familiar. "Naomi," came his voice, deep, warm, and threaded with something she hadn't heard in years. Concern. She turned, and there he was. Eli Warren, broad-shouldered and gold-eyed, his dark skin glowing faintly beneath the silver light. He looked every bit the alpha he was destined to become. "You shouldn't be out here alone," he said, stepping closer. Naomi forced a small smile. "And miss the ceremony? Can't imagine that'd break any hearts." He frowned. "You think I wanted to stand there without you?" Her laugh came out softer than she intended. "You didn't need me there, Eli. You've got a whole pack waiting to follow you, and Layla waiting to stand beside you." Eli's jaw tightened. "Layla's not who I—" He stopped himself, gaze flicking toward the trees, as if the shadows might be listening. Naomi shook her head. "You don't have to say it. You have a duty. I get it." Before he could respond, the moonlight shifted. A strange warmth bloomed under Naomi's skin, first at her chest, then racing down her arms. She gasped, clutching her collarbone as a faint silver mark began to glow there. It pulsed with light like a heartbeat that wasn't her own. Eli reached for her instinctively. "Naomi, what's happening?" I don't know," she breathed, stumbling back. "It burns. It feels like the moon's calling me." The forest seemed to still. The crickets went silent. Eli's golden eyes flared, but not from fear, from awe. The mark on her skin shimmered brighter, spiraling into a crescent that matched the moon above. And in that moment, Naomi wasn't weak. She wasn't small. She stood straight, the air around her humming with power older than any alpha's bloodline. Eli whispered, "The Moonbound. It can't be." Naomi blinked, confused. "The what?" He stepped closer, voice hushed. "A legend. A wolf, born once in a century, chosen by the moon spirit herself. They say the Moonbound are protectors of the pack and destroyers of those who betray it." Naomi's heart pounded. "That's not me, Eli. I'm not—" "Yes, you are," he said softly, and the moon just claimed you." For a long moment, they just stared at each other, Eli's hand hovering near hers, the air thick with things neither of them dared say. Jealousy, fear, longing, destiny, all bound under the same silver sky. And somewhere in the distance, Layla Carter watched from the shadows, her eyes dark with envy. The next morning, the pack's territory buzzed with whispers. Naomi felt every stare as she walked through the main clearing. Wolves paused mid-conversation. Some lowered their heads in confusion. Others, like Layla, didn't bother to hide their glare. Her mark, now faint but still visible, peeked from beneath the collar of her shirt. She'd tried scrubbing it off. It didn't fade. It pulsed faintly every few seconds, as if the moon itself still breathed through her. "Naomi Brooks?" A low voice stopped her. It was Elder Cyrus, gray hair, thick beard, eyes sharp as winter glass. One of the oldest wolves in the Crescent Fang pack. He was the keeper of their lore, and his gaze lingered on her like he was seeing a ghost. "It's true, then," he murmured. "The Moonbound has awakened." "I don't know what that means," Naomi said quietly. "I didn't ask for this." "No one ever does," the elder replied. "But the moon chooses who she will, and the pack must obey." He leaned closer. "Be careful, child. Power brings loyalty and danger." Naomi swallowed hard. She didn't need him to explain the second part. She could already feel the danger, watching her from across the yard. Layla Carter stood near the training grounds, her long braids glinting in the sun. She wore confidence like a weapon, her lips curved into a smirk that never reached her eyes. When Naomi caught her stare, Layla tilted her head. "Enjoying the attention?" she asked sweetly. "Must be strange for you, people actually knowing your name." Naomi didn't answer. She started to walk away, but Layla's voice followed her like poison smoke. "Don't get too comfortable, runt. The pack follows strength. And that mark won't protect you from what's coming." Before Naomi could turn around, Layla shifted, her bones cracking, skin rippling until a tall, sleek wolf stood where she had been. Dark gray fur, glowing amber eyes. Layla bared her teeth and stalked away, leaving claw marks in the dirt. Naomi clenched her fists. Her heartbeat pounded with something new. Anger. The kind that hummed deep in her chest, like the moon's echo. Later that evening, Naomi sat near the bayou, the water glowing faintly under twilight. She traced the mark on her collarbone, whispering, "Why me? What do you want from me?" "You really think the moon answers out loud?" Eli's voice startled her again. He stepped out from the shadows, his jacket draped over one shoulder, a half-smile tugging at his lips. But his eyes, gold and searching, held something softer. Something only she ever brought out of him. "I figured you'd be celebrating with your pack," Naomi said. He shook his head. "They're my pack, Naomi. But you're something else." Her throat tightened. "Eli, don't—" "I'm serious," he interrupted, his voice low. "That mark, it's not a curse. It's a sign. The Moonbound are said to rise when the pack has lost its way." Naomi frowned. "Lost its way? You're the new alpha. The pack looks stronger than ever." He hesitated. "Maybe on the outside, but something's been stirring near the borders. Rogues, shadows, wolves that don't follow any alpha. I think the moon chose you for a reason." The words sank deep into her chest, heavy with meaning she couldn't fully understand. She looked up at him. And what reason do you believe in? Eli took a step closer. The moonlight brushed across his skin, soft and golden. I believe you were chosen to lead beside me. Naomi froze. Her breath caught. For a heartbeat, the world went still. Then, from the trees behind them, came a long, low howl, deep and cold. Not from the Crescent Fang Pack. Something else. Something wrong. Eli's head snapped toward the sound, his expression hardening. Rogues, he muttered. Stay behind me. But the mark on Naomi's skin flared bright as fire, and a strange calm washed over her. She could feel them. 3 wolves, their hunger, their rage. And she knew exactly where they stood in the darkness. Her eyes glowed silver. No, she whispered. They're coming for me. The forest fell silent. Not the quiet of peace, but the stillness before a storm. Eli's body tense beside her, every muscle ready to shift at a moment's notice. His golden eyes scanned the tree line, catching the faint movement of shadows between the cypress trunks. Naomi felt it before she saw it, a chill rolling through the air, the scent of iron and decay carried on the wind. 3 figures emerged, crouched low. Their eyes burned red, not gold. Rogues. Wolves who'd turned feral, stripped of loyalty and law. Eli growled deep in his chest. Stay behind me, Naomi. But her body wouldn't listen. Something inside her, the same force that branded her beneath the moon, pulsed awake. The mark on her collarbone glowed like molten silver. Her heartbeat echoed in her ears, faster, louder, until it wasn't just her heart she heard. She could feel theirs too. The rogues' hearts, beating erratically, dark and hungry. One of them lunged. Eli shifted in an instant, his body rippling and reshaping into a massive black wolf. His snarl shook the clearing as he met the rogue midair, teeth flashing. The other 2 wolves circled, snapping and howling, the ground flying beneath their claws. Naomi's hands trembled. She wanted to help, but what could she do? She wasn't trained. She wasn't strong. Then the mark burned again, fierce, demanding. Listen, a voice whispered inside her. It wasn't her own. It was soft, ancient, and commanding. The moon's spirit, she breathed. Her vision changed. The world sharpened. She could see the heat of the wolves' bodies, the shimmer of their spirits, the threads of energy connecting them to the night itself. Eli roared as one rogue knocked him into the dirt. Naomi felt his pain as if it were her own. Her chest flared, and silver light burst from her hands. The glow swept across the clearing, rippling like a wave. The rogues froze mid-step, yelping in confusion. Their eyes dimmed. The light wrapped around them like mist, and one by one, they collapsed. Not dead, but asleep, the rage drained from them. Eli shifted back, panting hard, eyes wide in disbelief. Naomi, what did you just... She stared down at her hands, still faintly glowing. I don't know, she whispered. I didn't even touch them. He stepped closer, his voice low. You felt them, didn't you? Naomi nodded slowly. I felt everything, their anger, their hunger. It was like the moon showed me their pain. Eli exhaled, awe softening his face. The legends were true. The Moonbound don't just destroy, they heal what's broken. Naomi blinked back tears. I don't want this power, Eli. I just wanted to belong. He reached out, gently brushing his thumb along the edge of her glowing mark. You do belong. Maybe more than any of us. Their eyes met. The world shrank to the space between them, the hum of their breathing, the silver reflection of the moon in his eyes. But before either could speak again, a voice cut through the night. Well? Layla drawled from the shadows, arms crossed, her smile sharp as glass. Isn't this sweet? The Alpha and his little moonbound miracle. Naomi stiffened. Eli turned to face her, his body shifting slightly in front of Naomi's. Layla, he warned. Not now. Layla stepped into the moonlight, her expression unreadable. You should have told me, Eli. The pack deserves to know that their Alpha's heart is already claimed by a runt with a shiny scar. Her gaze locked on Naomi, and something dark flickered behind her eyes. Careful, sweetheart. The moon may have chosen you, but the pack hasn't. Then she turned and walked away, her heels crunching the dirt, her words leaving a sting sharper than any claw. Naomi stood frozen, torn between anger and shame. She's right, she said softly. They'll never see me as anything but the weak one. Eli's hand found hers. Then we'll show them what strength really looks like. Above them, the moonlight shimmered brighter, washing the bayou in silver. Somewhere deep inside, Naomi felt the spirit stir, whispering of trials yet to come, and a destiny far greater than she'd ever imagined. Morning came slowly, spreading pale gold across the bayou. The mist still clung to the water, and the pack's camp buzzed with unease. The rogues' bodies had vanished overnight. No blood, no tracks, nothing left but the echo of their howls. Naomi woke with her heart still pounding from dreams she couldn't explain. Visions of silver wolves and voices chanting her name under a red moon. She sat up on her cot, the mark on her collarbone glowing faintly through her shirt. There was a knock at the cabin door. Come in, she murmured. Eli stepped inside. He looked like he hadn't slept, his eyes shadowed, his jaw tight. The elders want to see you, he said quietly. Naomi's stomach dropped. Because of last night? He nodded. They're unsettled. They don't understand what happened. Naomi swallowed hard. Do you? Eli's gaze softened. I don't need to understand it to believe in you. Those words settled somewhere deep inside her, like an anchor in a storm. She followed him through the camp, past wolves who whispered behind their hands. Some looked afraid, others looked angry. Layla stood among them, pretending to comfort a group of younger wolves. But her eyes found Naomi's, cold and calculating. The elders waited inside the old meeting hall. Thick wooden walls carved with the Crescent Fang's history. Elder Cyrus sat at the center, flanked by 3 others. His gaze was sharp but not cruel. Naomi Brooks, he began. The night before last, 3 rogue wolves entered our territory. Witnesses say you subdued them with light from your hands. Is this true? Naomi hesitated. I didn't mean to. It just happened. I wanted to protect Eli. One of the younger elders scoffed. She wanted to protect the Alpha, a runt using magic we don't understand? This isn't protection. It's danger. Eli's voice cut through the room like thunder. Enough. She saved my life. If you saw what I saw, you'd be thanking her. The hall fell silent. Elder Cyrus raised a hand. Peace, Alpha. The pack's safety must come before pride. But this power, moonbound or not, will need to be tested. Naomi frowned. Tested how? There is an ancient trial, Cyrus said slowly. A ritual beneath the full moon. If the moonbound truly carries the spirit's blessing, the moonlight will embrace her. If not... His words trailed off. He didn't have to finish. Eli's fists clenched. You'd put her through that? It could kill her. It could save the pack, another elder replied. Naomi looked between them, her fear curling tight in her chest. When? Tomorrow night, Cyrus said. Prepare yourself, child. The moon will decide your fate. That night, Naomi sat by the water again, staring at her reflection. The mark glowed softly, rippling in the dark water. She whispered to herself, Why me? Why now? The moon gave no answer, but she felt something in her chest, an ache that wasn't fear this time. It was longing. Footsteps approached. Eli sat beside her, silent for a moment. Then he said, I don't trust them. Naomi smiled faintly. You don't trust anyone who questions your orders. He gave a quiet laugh, but it faded quickly. They're scared, and fear makes people do stupid things. Naomi looked at him. Would you stop them? If I fail tomorrow? Eli met her gaze, his voice low and steady. You won't fail. But if I do? He turned toward her fully, eyes fierce and bright in the moonlight. Then I'll stand with you. Even if the whole pack turns against us. For a heartbeat, the world held still. The frogs stopped croaking. The water went quiet. Only the sound of their breathing filled the air. Naomi felt the warmth of his hand brush hers. Not quite holding, just enough to feel the tremor of connection between them. It wasn't passion, it was promise. And above them, the moon rose higher, pale and watchful, preparing for the trial that would change everything. The night of the full moon arrived heavy and breathless, as if even the bayou held its breath. Clouds swirled over the treetops, and the air hummed with energy that prickled Naomi's skin. The pack gathered in the sacred clearing, a wide circle surrounded by stones etched with runes older than the Crescent Fang name itself. Torches burned low, their flames flickering against watchful faces. Naomi stood at the center, barefooted on cool earth. The silver mark on her collarbone glowed faintly through the thin fabric of her dress. She could feel every eye on her. Some curious, some afraid, some eager to see her fall. Eli stood just outside the circle, his arms crossed, jaw tight. The elders had forbidden him from interfering. He obeyed, but his gaze never left her. Elder Cyrus stepped forward, his voice carrying through the night. Tonight, the moonbound will face the spirit's truth. If her power is pure, the moon shall embrace her. If it is false, the light will turn to flame. A shiver ran through the crowd. Naomi took a slow breath. She told herself not to be afraid. The moon had chosen her once before. It wouldn't abandon her now. Cyrus raised his staff, carved with the shape of a crescent. He began to chant in the old language. The sound rolled low and deep, like thunder under the earth. The torches flickered. The air thickened. Then the clouds parted. The moon broke free, huge, white and blinding. A beam of light fell across the clearing, finding Naomi where she stood. At first, the warmth felt gentle, like a familiar touch. Then it grew stronger, brighter. The mark on her chest burned until she cried out, falling to her knees. Eli took a step forward, but 2 guards blocked him. "She must finish the trial," one hissed. "Get out of my way!" Eli growled, his wolf rising behind his voice. Naomi's vision blurred. The light poured through her, searing and pure. Her body trembled, but beneath the pain came something else, a voice. Not cruel, not kind, but vast. "Child of the forgotten line, why do you seek belonging?" Naomi gasped, her voice breaking. "Because I've never had it," the voice hummed, rippling through her bones. "Belonging is not given. It is made." The mark on her skin flared brighter, then exploded outward in a ring of silver light. The torches blew out. Wolves stumbled back, shielding their eyes. When the light faded, Naomi was standing. The air shimmered around her like heat on metal. Her eyes glowed pale silver, her hair stirred by a wind no one else could feel. Elder Cyrus dropped to one knee. "The moon accepts her." But not everyone followed. Layla's voice cut through the stunned silence. "Look at her. That's not moonlight. It's witchcraft." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. A few wolves backed away. One even growled. Naomi felt her chest tighten. "I didn't mean to." "Enough," Eli said sharply, stepping into the circle at last. "You all saw what happened. The moon chose her." "You question that. You question our spirit itself." Layla's eyes burned with fury, but she said nothing. Naomi turned toward Eli, still trembling from the power coursing through her. "It hurt," she whispered, "but it didn't break me." He met her gaze, pride and fear tangled in his expression. "Then you're stronger than any of us." The pack began to kneel, one by one, reluctantly at first, then all together. The sound of knees hitting the dirt echoed through the clearing like thunder. Naomi stood tall, moonlight washing over her. For the first time in her life, she didn't feel small. She didn't feel weak. She felt seen. But as the pack bowed, she caught movement at the edge of the forest, a shadow darker than the night itself. 2 red eyes glimmered back at her before vanishing into the trees. Her pulse quickened. The rogues hadn't disappeared. They were waiting, watching, and something told her this was only the beginning. The night after the trial should have brought peace. Instead, it brought whispers. All through the Crescent Fang grounds, wolves spoke in hushed tones. "The runt is blessed." "No, bewitched." "Did you see her eyes?" Naomi heard it all. She pretended not to. Every time she passed, conversation stopped, and she felt the weight of their stares pressing between her shoulder blades. By dawn, she found herself wandering again, back to the bayou where the cypress trees leaned like old guardians over the water. The moon had left its reflection behind, a faint silver halo rippling across the surface. "Still hiding out here?" Eli's voice came from behind her, rough from lack of sleep. Naomi smiled faintly. "Not hiding, just breathing." He joined her at the water's edge. "You should rest. The pack's unsettled enough without you disappearing before sunrise." She looked down at her hands. "They'll never trust me, Eli." He shook his head. "They will. They just need time." Naomi glanced sideways at him. "You really believe that? Even after what Layla said?" Eli's jaw tightened. Layla's words don't decide who leads this pack. "I do." Before she could answer, A low rustle came from the tree line. Both froze. The scent hit first. Earth, sweat, and something sharp like metal. A figure stepped out, small, hunched, wrapped in a dark cloak. Not a rogue, too calm, too deliberate. Naomi's pulse jumped. Who? The figure lowered its hood. Beneath the shadows was an older woman, her skin deep and lined, her eyes a shimmering silver that matched Naomi's mark. Child, the woman said softly, I thought I'd never live to see another Moonbound. Eli moved in front of Naomi instantly. Who are you? The woman smiled faintly. A name long forgotten, but once they called me Naomi Brooks. Naomi's heart stopped. Brooks? That's my family name. Marin nodded. Your grandmother, child, banished before you were born. Eli's eyes widened. Banished? Why? Because the last Moonbound before you nearly destroyed the Crescent Fang, Marin said, her tone carrying both grief and warning. Our power is not just the moon's blessing, it's her weapon. When angered, it can burn through the pack itself. Naomi took a shaky step forward. You're saying this power could hurt them? Marin met her gaze. If you let fear rule you, yes. The Moonbound walks a thin line between guardian and ruin. Eli frowned. Why come here now? Because the rogues you fought weren't acting on instinct, Marin said. They serve something older than any of us, a shadow born from the first Alpha's curse. And it knows you've awakened. Naomi's blood ran cold. What does it want? To claim what belongs to the moon, Marin said. You. The wind rose, stirring the moss in the trees. The mark on Naomi's chest began to glow again, faint and pulsing. She felt the pull deep in her bones, a call coming from far beyond the bayou. Marin touched her hand gently. You must learn to master it, child, or it will master you. Naomi looked at Eli, fear and determination warring in her eyes. Then teach me. The old woman smiled sadly. At dawn, meet me where the water meets the sky. And before they could ask another question, she stepped backward into the fog and vanished like smoke. Naomi stood frozen. The only sound left was the hum of the waking forest and the distant howl of something neither human nor wolf. Eli finally spoke, his voice low. So, your grandmother's alive. You're a living legend, and now something ancient wants you dead. Naomi let out a shaky laugh. Guess it's going to be a long week. But when she turned back toward the water, she saw her reflection shimmer. Her eyes silver again, brighter this time. And in that faint glow, she could almost hear the moon spirit whisper, Your blood remembers. Your destiny has only begun. Dawn crawled over the bayou in streaks of rose and gold. Mist hung low on the water, curling around the cypress roots like drifting ghosts. Naomi followed the sound of rushing current to where the bayou widened into open river, the place Marin had named where the water meets the sky. Her heart thudded in rhythm with the slow beat of the mark on her collarbone. She half expected the old woman not to come, to find only empty mist and her own reflection. But then the fog shimmered. Marin appeared again, standing barefoot on the wet stones, her cloak trailing in the water. Her eyes shone silver in the new sunlight. You came, the elder said softly. I said I would. Naomi hesitated. I need to understand this power before it hurts someone. Marin's smile was faint. Then listen, child. The moonbound gift is two halves, light and shadow. The light heals, shields, calms. The shadow destroys, binds, commands. Both live in you. Naomi frowned. How do I choose between them? You don't. Marin raised a hand, drawing a faint circle in the air. The water rippled outward, forming a ring of glowing silver. You balance them, like the moon, bright on one side, dark on the other. Naomi stepped closer. Show me how. For hours, the two women trained by the water's edge. Marin taught her to draw power from stillness rather than anger, to feel the pulse of the moon beneath her skin. When Naomi spread her palms and whispered the words Marin gave her, tiny motes of light rose from the water like fireflies. They swirled in gentle patterns, weaving around her hands. For a moment, it was beautiful, peaceful. Then the wind shifted, the lights turned sharp and hot. Naomi gasped as a burst of silver flame shot from her fingers, scorching the stones. Stop! Marin cried. Naomi pulled back, trembling. The light vanished, leaving only smoke and the smell of burning moss. Marin steadied her. That's the shadow in you. It answers your fear first. Naomi's voice shook. I didn't mean to. I know. That's why you must learn control. If you can't, the shadow will answer whoever calls loudest. Naomi looked toward the trees, her heart twisting. And if I fail? Marin's eyes darkened. Then what hunts you will win. Back at camp, trouble was already brewing. Layla walked among the pack, her tone sweet as honey and sharp as broken glass. Tell me, she said to a group of younger wolves, how much power does one runt need before she starts thinking she's above the alpha? She saved him, one wolf muttered. Layla's smile tightened. Or maybe she bewitched him. You saw his eyes during the trial. That wasn't love. It was spell work. The group exchanged uneasy glances. Layla leaned closer. An alpha bound to a witch? That's how packs fall. Her words spread like wildfire. By sunset, half the camp whispered them. Eli heard, and though he tried to ignore it, he could feel the doubt rippling through the ranks. He found himself pacing near the edge of the clearing, staring into the trees where Naomi had gone. Where are you, Moonlight? He murmured under his breath. Come back, before they tear each other apart. When Naomi finally returned, twilight had fallen. She was exhausted, her hands raw from channeling energy all day. The moment she stepped into the clearing, conversations stopped. Dozens of eyes turned toward her. Layla's voice carried through the silence. The prodigal witch returns. Naomi froze. Eli appeared before anyone could speak again. His tone was calm, but edged with warning. Enough, Layla. Oh, I'm just saying what they're all thinking, Layla replied smoothly. Since she arrived, rogues have crossed our borders. Elders fear the moon, and our alpha, she smirked, has forgotten where his loyalties lie. Eli took a slow step forward. The air around him vibrated with barely contained power. My loyalty is to this pack, to its safety. And right now, that means protecting her. Layla's smile faltered, but her eyes stayed defiant. Then maybe the pack needs protecting from her. A low growl rippled through the wolves. Naomi looked at them, all the faces she'd grown up with, now twisted with uncertainty, and felt a deep ache in her chest. Enough fighting, she said quietly. You want proof I'm not your enemy? Then let me show you. Before anyone could stop her, she knelt and pressed her palm to the ground. Silver light spread outward in a soft circle. Every wolf who touched it felt warmth wash through their bodies, the same calm she had felt when the moon first called her. The murmurs quieted. Even Layla couldn't hide the flicker of awe in her eyes. Naomi rose, her voice steady. The moon gave me this power to protect, not to destroy. But if anyone here still thinks I'm a threat, I'll leave. Eli turned to the crowd, his voice a low command. No one touches her. No one questions her again. She's under my protection, under the moon's protection. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then one by one, the wolves bowed their heads. Layla didn't. She simply turned and walked away, her eyes burning with quiet fury. Later, alone beneath the stars, Naomi sat beside Eli by the dying campfire. The night was cool, the frogs singing low in the distance. You didn't have to defend me like that, she said softly. He looked at her, eyes warm but weary. Yes, I did. Naomi smiled, faint but real. You know they'll blame you for choosing me over them. Eli leaned back, staring at the sky. Then let them. I've made worse choices for lesser reasons. Their laughter mingled with the crackle of firewood, easing the weight between them. For the first time in days, Naomi felt safe. But far beyond the camp, hidden in the trees, a darker shape watched the flames from afar. Two red eyes gleamed, and a low voice whispered to the wind, The moonbound rises. Soon the shadow will answer. The bayou slept beneath a bruised sky. Clouds moved like slow rivers above the treetops, and somewhere between the croak of frogs and the hum of crickets, the forest carried a new sound. Soft, distant, wrong. It was a whisper, and it called a name. Naomi woke in her cabin with her pulse racing. The air inside was thick, every shadow pulsing faintly silver. She could still hear the voice from her dream, low, curling around her thoughts. Daughter of light, give me your shadow. She pressed a hand against her mark. It burned cold, not hot. That frightened her more than the dream. A knock came at the door. Naomi? Eli's voice, tired but steady. She opened the door, and he took one look at her face. You haven't slept, he said. She tried to smile. Neither have you. He stepped inside, lowering his tone. The patrols found something near the eastern border. Claw marks in the trees, deeper than any wolf could make. We think the rogues are back. Naomi shivered. They're not acting alone. Eli frowned. What do you mean? I heard something. A voice. It wants my power. He reached for her shoulders. Then we make sure it doesn't get it. By midday, she was back by the river with Marin. The old woman stood in the shallows, silver light dancing between her fingers. You felt the darkness stirring, Marin said. It's older than the packs. It was born when the first alpha spilled blood under the full moon and begged for power. The moon gave it, but his shadow never forgot. Naomi's throat tightened. And now it wants me. Yes, Marin said, because you are its opposite. Every moonbound carries the balance the shadow cannot stand. Naomi closed her eyes, trying to steady her breathing, as Marin guided her through another ritual. She learned to weave the light into symbols, threads of silver that shaped protective circles on the ground. But every time her fear crept in, the light flickered and the shadow's voice grew louder. "You are mine, child of light!" Naomi gasped and stumbled backward. Marin caught her arm. "Do not listen," the elder warned. "The shadow feeds on your doubt." Naomi's hands shook. "I can't stop hearing it." "You will," Marin said firmly. "You must." Back at camp, the tension Naomi feared had already begun to bloom. Layla stood at the center of a gathered crowd, her voice calm and smooth. "Our Alpha hides secrets. He brings a witch into our circle and expects us to bow." One wolf growled. She healed the pups after the fever. Layla smiled. "And yet the rogues return." Coincidence? Murmurs rose. Doubt spread. Eli approached, silent but fierce. "If you have something to say, Layla, say it to me." She turned slowly. "I just did." Their eyes locked, Alpha and Challenger. The air buzzed with tension until a voice from the crowd shouted, "Let the moon decide!" Layla smirked. "Even the pack thinks so." Eli's hands clenched. He wanted to fight her challenge, but he couldn't without risking the pack splintering completely. That night, Naomi sat alone near the water again, tracing circles in the mud with her fingertip. Her power hummed quietly beneath her skin, restless and unsure. She looked up at the sky. Clouds swallowed the moon whole. The darkness pressed close, heavy and watchful. Then she saw them. 2 red eyes glowing between the trees. Her breath caught. The figure stepped forward, cloaked in smoke and mist. Its voice was the same whisper from her dreams. "Moonbound," it said, almost tender. "The light in you belongs to me. Give it freely, and I will spare them." Naomi forced her voice to stay steady. "Spare who?" "The ones you love," it hissed. "The Alpha, the pack, all who doubt you, their lives for your light." Her heart pounded. "Never!" The shadow laughed softly. "Then watch the moon turn red." A gust of wind tore through the clearing. The torches at the edge of camp flared crimson and died. Wolves howled in panic. Naomi stumbled back, clutching her mark as it blazed with light, fighting the cold that threatened to swallow her whole. Eli found her moments later, half kneeling in the dirt, silver light flickering around her like wings made of smoke. "Naomi!" He pulled her up, holding her steady. "What happened?" She looked up at him, eyes full of terror and wonder. "It's here, Eli. The shadow's real, and it wants me." The wind howled again, carrying the faint sound of laughter across the trees. The morning after the red-flamed night, the bayou felt different. The air was thick with the smell of rain and smoke, and even the birds had gone silent. Naomi stood at the edge of camp, watching wolves repair the fallen torches. The light hadn't returned to their eyes. Fear had settled in its place. Eli moved through them with the weight of an alpha on his shoulders. Every order he gave sounded calm, but Naomi could feel the storm beneath his voice. When he reached her, he didn't speak right away. He just looked, searching her face for something solid in a world that was starting to tilt. Finally, he said, "The pack's scared." "I know," she whispered. "They trust me to lead them, but they look to you for signs. If you falter." "I won't." Naomi lifted her chin, though her voice shook. "Whatever that thing was last night, I'm not giving it what it wants." Eli nodded, a flicker of pride in his eyes. "Good, because it's not done yet." By noon, scouts returned with word that the rogues had been seen again, this time moving in groups, organized, following something unseen. "They don't attack," one scout said. "They watch." Naomi and Maren studied the tracks left behind in the mud. They were clawed, twisted, too deep for normal wolves. Maren ran her hand over one. "They're marked," she murmured, "claimed by the shadow." Naomi knelt beside her. "Can we break it?" "Not easily," Maren said, "but there's an old rite, one that seals the border between moonlight and darkness. It takes both an alpha strength and a moonbound spirit." Naomi glanced toward the camp. "Eli." Maren nodded. "He'll need to stand with you under the next moon, but you must be ready. The ritual demands truth. If your heart wavers, the shadow will find the weakness." Naomi swallowed hard. "What does that mean?" "It means the moon sees everything you try to hide," Maren said gently. "Even love." Naomi froze, her pulse skipping. "You think my feelings are—" Maren's eyes softened. "Child, the moon doesn't judge what you feel. It only asks that you be honest about it." That evening, Eli met with the elders. The hall was tense. Layla stood among them, arms crossed, her expression sharp. "You can't be serious," one elder barked. "A sealing ritual. That magic nearly destroyed us generations ago." Eli's voice stayed even. "And if we do nothing, the shadow destroys us now." Layla stepped forward. "You'd risk all our lives on the word of a banished witch and a girl who hears voices?" Eli's gaze locked on hers. "That girl saved this pack more than once. If you can't see that, you don't belong at this table." Layla's eyes narrowed, but she said nothing. When the meeting ended, Eli stepped outside, breathing hard. Naomi was waiting. "I heard," she said softly. He shook his head. "They don't understand what we're facing." "They're afraid," Naomi said. "Maybe they should be." He looked at her then, really looked, and for a moment the weight of his title fell away. "And you? Are you afraid?" Naomi hesitated. "Every minute. But fear doesn't mean I'll stop." Eli smiled faintly. "Good, because whatever happens next, we face it together." Their hands brushed, just for a heartbeat. No words after that, only quiet understanding. That night, the clouds cleared just enough for the moon to break through. Its light was tinged red, faint but growing. Naomi stood on the overlook above the bayou, feeling the wind tug at her hair. Maren's voice echoed in her memory. "The moon sees what you hide." She whispered to the sky, "Then see me now. I'm not your perfect chosen. I'm scared, I'm angry, but I'll fight." Below, she heard Eli rallying the pack, his command steady and strong. Even from this distance, she could feel his presence, warm, grounding, real. Then the air shifted again. The wind carried a low rumble from the woods, too deep to be thunder. Wolves looked up, ears flattening. Maren appeared at Naomi's side. Her voice was grim. "It begins sooner than I hoped." Out in the darkness, the red glow of 100 eyes blinked open among the trees. Naomi took a breath, lifting her chin. "Then we begin too." The pack moved like shadows through the camp, preparing for war. Weapons of old iron and carved bone were laid in rows. Fresh wards burned along the border, glowing a faint blue against the dark. But for a few stolen minutes, Naomi and Eli slipped away from the noise. to the high ridge overlooking the bayou, where the wind smelled of wet pine and thunder. The moon hung low and red, half hidden by clouds. It felt close enough to touch. Naomi stood at the edge, arms wrapped around herself. Maren says the ritual only works if the Alpha's heart is steady. She murmured, "If it wavers." Eli stepped beside her. "Then it fails." She nodded, staring at the water. "You're not steady, are you?" He laughed quietly, just breath and weariness. "No, I'm terrified. Every leader pretends he isn't, but tonight, I won't lie to you." Naomi turned to him, studying his face in the moonlight, the faint scar under his eye, the tired strength in his jaw. "You don't have to protect me all the time, Eli." He met her gaze. "That's not protection. That's instinct." The wind caught her curls, lifting them against his shoulder. For a moment, neither moved. The world around them blurred into silver and shadow. She whispered, "You ever wonder if the moon makes mistakes?" "Sometimes," he said, "but then I see you, and I think maybe she knew exactly what she was doing." Naomi's chest tightened. She wanted to step back, to breathe, but instead she let the truth rise. "You're my home," she said softly. "Even before all of this." Eli's hand found hers, rough and warm. "Then we'll fight to keep it." Back in the clearing, Maren traced a wide circle of salt and crushed quartz into the earth. The elders watched in silence, the fear in their eyes utterly hidden. "This barrier will hold only if your hearts are bound," Maren said. "Alpha and Moonbound must speak as one." Eli nodded. "Tell us what to do." "When the moon reaches its highest point," Maren said, "you call to her with truth, not with pride, not with power. She answers honesty." Naomi frowned. "Truth?" "Every secret weighs on the spell," Maren said. "If you hide anything, the circle breaks." Naomi and Eli exchanged a glance. Both knew there were words they hadn't said yet, feelings they'd locked away behind duty and fear. Eli took a breath. "Then we tell her everything." Hours passed. The forest grew still. Even the frogs stopped their songs. Then came the sound, a deep, rolling growl that seemed to rise from the ground itself. The red glow returned, hundreds of eyes moving in unison between the trees. Maren lifted her staff. "They come!" Wolves shifted around her, forming ranks. Eli's voice rang out, "Hold the line! Protect the circle!" Naomi stepped into the ring of light, her mark blazing like a brand. Eli joined her, facing the darkness. From the tree line, the shadow emerged and, no longer a whisper, but a shape. It walked upright, wrapped in smoke and memory, its voice echoing in every mind at once. "Moonbound, Alpha, give me what the moon denied." Naomi's knees trembled. Eli reached for her hand. "We stand together," he said. The shadow laughed. "Together? Then you will fall together." The rogues lunged. Eli roared, shifting mid-stride. His black wolf met the first wave, claws flashing. Naomi raised her hands, silver light spiraling outward to shield the circle. Every breath burned. Every heartbeat felt like thunder. Maren shouted from the edge, "Call to the moon! Speak your truth!" Naomi closed her eyes. "Moon spirit," she cried, "see us. We are not perfect, but we are yours." Eli's voice joined hers, rough and powerful. "I am Alpha not by blood, but by choice, and I choose her. The circle blazed white. The red glow shattered, the shadow screamed, recoiling as the light drove it back. For one endless second, the world was nothing but silver fire and the sound of two hearts beating in unison. Then, silence. The rogues scattered into the dark. The smoke thinned. Only the mark on Naomi's skin still glowed, pulsing faintly like a promise. When the wind settled, the pack stared in stunned quiet. Eli shifted back, breathing hard, his body streaked with dirt and blood. Naomi caught him before he fell. "You did it," she whispered. He smiled weakly. "No, we did." Marin stepped forward, her eyes bright with pride. "The border holds, for now." Naomi looked up at the fading moon. "For now," she echoed, because deep inside she could still feel it, the faint echo of the shadow waiting beyond the light. And somewhere far away, beneath another moon, something ancient began to stir.